Hello. In today's video we're going to explore how to use factoring and the skills we've learned with factoring quadratic expressions to help us make sure we're learning the completing the square process correctly. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate the solving of two quadratic equations. In both cases I'm going to practice first the factoring approach to solve, and then I'm going to focus on the completing the square process to find the same solutions. If I find the same solutions, then I'm right. So the process begins, of course, by making a sketch, and the sketch essentially is going to show us what we should expect to see. I expect to see two positive solutions based off the idea that the left side shows a parabola intersecting the right side, which is a linear function. So first I'm going to use the factoring approach. And the factoring approach in this case is really straightforward because the coefficient on x squared is 1. The x box reveals -5 and -3, and those are going to be the parts of my linear factors. Use the zero product rule and solve. Now, this is to determine if I know how to complete the square properly. If I do, I'm going to get 3 or 5 as my two solutions. So once again, we can kick out the 15 and find the magic number, the number that should go here, that's going to give us the information we need. That is to say, to give us a perfect square within here. So if I take half of -8 is -4 squared is 16, I'm going to add 16 here and take away 16 there, which creates a perfect square, and then 15 minus 16 is -1. So now I do inverses. I invert -1, and I invert square, and I get rid of the absolute values by making two separate equations, and I can see 3 and 5. Confirmed by my graph using technology, 3 and 5, which looks just like my mental sketch. And so in the end, now I know I'm completing the square correctly, so that's good. What about in a situation where the square is not so easy to complete? Here, for example, first the mental sketch, where y equals -3, and the parabola dips down and comes back up again, shows two positive solutions. First, showing the factoring method. This is all review, but the x box here is for 4 and 3 make 12. -12 and -1 add to give you -13 and multiply to give you +12. Factor by grouping, and we see x equals 3 or x equals 1/4. Now for completing the square. This can be a little messy just because of the fractions. But first thing I do is kick out the 3 and I factor out the 4 from the first two terms. Factor out the 4, kick out the 3, and we're good to go. Next, I need to think of numbers that will multiply to give me, well, I need to think of the perfect number. So to do that, I need two numbers that will add up to 13/4 that are the same. In other words, I take half of 13/4, it's 13/8, and then I multiply 13 times 13, 8 times 8, I get 169/64. So that's the number that's added, but the net effect is 4 times bigger. 4 times this number. Since 4 goes into 64, I reduce and get 169/16. That's the number I'm going to take away over here. The rest of this is collecting like terms, and then we're going to add 121/16, multiply both sides by 1/4, and then take the square root of both sides. And the rest is all arithmetic. You can follow this process. You can pause and rewind if you need to, but basically what you see is what you get. And I check this with technology as well, just to make sure I'm doing everything right. So that's the full process. Enjoy.